Renaissance Community, all is well, and all is in divine order. I was listening to Rod Grimes' message and how he is this police officer. And I'm listening to that deep voice, Brett. And I don't know about you. If he's on the street and he comes up to me in a uniform with that voice, no matter what he says, if I'm a man, I'm going to say, okay. And if I'm a woman, I'm going to say, okay, for different reasons. Because if he's a man, he scares me. And if he's a woman, he's like Barry White. So, Rod, we're so proud of you. And in the mastermind group that we've had over a year, we've heard you talk about manifesting that book. And to see it here in real time, it's amazing. And so I'm looking forward to reading it. And so I hope you have lots of copies because we plan to support you here. You ever felt like you had some unfinished business? You ever felt like you left home and could have possibly left the door unlocked? Have you felt like you left some things unsaid before? Or some task undone? If you can relate to me, this is going to be a relevant message to you. Because there's so many times where I felt like it's unfinished, unlocked, unsaid, undone. And hopefully you are in the same boat with me. Anybody here has some things unfinished, unlocked, unsaid, undone? We all do. So don't be shy. When I ask a bunch of questions in this short message, just respond without hesitation because you know who you are. You know how you know who you are? Because you've been you all your life. Is that smart of me to think of all that by myself? Because you've been you all your life, you know you better than I do. And that's truth. So let's face reality now. Last week I was talking about faith. It was a good message, wasn't it? And you took away some gems. I reminded you that faith is the substance of things hoped for but not yet seen. Remember that? I reminded you that hope is just a stepping stone to great faith. Remember that? Because we need great faith to do what? Great things. And all of us want to do greater and greater things. Is that right? We all do. And that's why we wake up on a Sunday morning, we tune in to Facebook, or we come here live to hear the message, the music. But there's a message in the music, and there's a message in the message. And so we come here because we're about accelerating the pace to greater and greater things. And that greater and greater means that we're elevated to a higher level of consciousness, to a super consciousness where we do supernatural things. Moving beyond the natural into the supernatural is where we want to be, right? You sure about that? Let me test you out today. Great faith is what we need to do great things. But faith can be incomplete. And that's why I wrote the message on Tuesday for this Sunday, and then I looked at last week's message, and I said to myself, I have some unfinished business. Because faith can be incomplete. Can you say faith can be incomplete? It's nothing worse than taking the incomplete and not coming back to complete what was left incomplete. Y'all know what I mean? You say, I'm going to get to it later. I'm going to go back to it. The teacher gave me a test and I took it incomplete. And I didn't come back and finish the incomplete. And so we always need to go back. And so I said, I'm going to back up one time. Because the idea of this year is to push you into your divine purpose and to push you in manifesting your destiny. And so with that push comes the idea that you really have to have an understanding of faith that's complete. Otherwise, you'll think, I'm standing on faith. And I'm standing on faith. Good God Almighty, I'm standing on faith. Good God Almighty, have faith the size of a mustard seed, and that's enough. But is it enough? It's not enough. Faith can be incomplete. Tell your neighbor, faith can be incomplete. Now we see in the Bible, in James, 2nd chapter, verse 17, something that's relevant. It says, in the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Can everybody say dead? And can everybody say, I don't want to be dead? We're not ready to die, right? We got a lot of living to do. And so faith without action, without you acting, is dead. So what is faith if we don't activate it? It's just wishful thinking, right? Anybody in here ever wished upon a star? Daily. When we were kids, we wish upon a star and say a little nursery rhyme with it. Wishing on a star. And then there was this song, I'm wishing on a star to find out where you are. Remember that song? Not that verse, Reverend Wilma. But it's not enough simply to believe in your heart that faith is enough. You have to activate and act your heart, your head, your hands, and the movement of your feet. Let's say that together. My heart, my head, my hands, and the movement of my feet. They all go hand in hand. And so it's not enough to say what I consistently hear people say and people write. What I hear people pray. What I hear people meditate about. And leave it. God's got this. Anybody ever said that before? God's got this. I leave it to you, God. It's on you, dude. If it is to be, it's up to you, not up to me. So I absolve myself of responsibility, and I leave it on the doorstep. God's got this. It sounds good, doesn't it? Huh? Doesn't it sound like a parallel what we do all the time? In situations because we want to put it on somebody else. If Brett doesn't do this for me, if Wilma doesn't open the door for me, if Leah doesn't tell me that, if Michael doesn't give me the money. That's the reason why it didn't happen. I want to relinquish my responsibility. I want to do a little bit, but not all my part. And so this is where we get into this situation at the Red Sea and the Jordan River. And see, you remember the Red Sea, right? Everybody's seen the Ten Commandments, right? It comes on every Easter, about 45 hours. But you remember it? Moses and the Israelites. Moses fighting Pharaoh. Moses working through all the different plagues. Moses going to Pharaoh and saying what? Come on, y'all. Let's hear it in Rod Grant's voice. Let my people go. Yeah, remember that, right? The Red Sea. And then they saw the water form walls, dry land before them. Remember that? And they just walked through, looking like an amusement park. Remember that? And you remember the other part, the Jordan River. You might remember the Jordan River because most of us are not familiar with the Jordan River. We know the Red Sea, but the Jordan River is a little bit different. Do you remember that? Joshua. Remember Moses couldn't go over the Jordan River. And so the chosen one was Joshua. Remember that? Remember that old song, Joshua fought the battle of the Jericho, Jericho. Remember that? We were in kids' school and we learned that. But remember, the Jordan River, Moses led the Israelites across the Red Sea by saying, let my people go. Joshua tried to get the Israelites to cross over the Jordan River. But a lot of them said, I'm good here. I'm staying put. Because the devil I know is better than what? The devil I don't know. Is that the way we live our life? I'm not really happy. I'm not really content. I really don't have what I want. I'm not really who I want to be, but I'm good. Because I don't know what could happen if I venture off across this landscape, across this sea, across this river. Is that the way we live? Yeah, it is. I'm right there with you. I'm telling you, I told you guys from the very beginning, I'm in the boat with you today. I don't talk about anything except the things that I know about, that I'm experiencing or have experienced. I'm still in the boat with you. I'm still on the water. Now, I've got through the Red Sea, but now that crossing over the Jordan River, it was interesting, that comparison between the Red Sea and the Jordan River. And I found something by the late, great Reverend Dr. Sandy Ray. And she pointed out that there is a difference between the interpretation of the crossing of the Red Sea and the River Jordan. Now you say to yourself, well, what's the difference? Reverend, what's the difference? Both are just bodies of water. The difference is, if you really want to know, one crossing, which was the Red Sea, was about a victory over a military force. And it had to do with being freed from something external. You get it? Pharaoh and his army. Yeah, I'm getting this. But then it came down to the Jordan River. And then it became a situation where we done already crossed over the Red Sea, so we're doing better than we ever have. And because we're doing better than we ever have, maybe I should just stay put. Maybe this is good enough. Maybe, just maybe, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to do more, be more, have more. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? And so when they got to the Jordan River, even though Joshua said, I'm getting in the water because I'm going to cross it, because that's the real promised land, they had to make individual decisions at that point. This is not a collective effort, a collective energy like it was at the Red Sea. We're in this to win it together. It's a conscious movement to move. But in this situation, on the Jordan River, it's an individual decision. And so it becomes an internal matter. Can we say internal matter? And so the enemy before was Pharaoh and his army. The enemy this time is in me. The enemy is the inner me. Can we say that together? The enemy is the inner me. Now, Joshua, at that Jordan River, the story just began to turn and turn and turn. More challenging, more obstacles came to be. And all of a sudden, we were told in that passage that it was a water situation where it was at flood stage. Flood stage, and so they were in water well over their head. Well over their head, and to make it a tough decision, I ask you, have you ever been in a situation where it seems like the water was over your head? What you were into was way over your head. What you were dealing with, trying to figure out, trying to get out, was over your head. And so they're in this situation where they see him get in the water, and it's just treacherous. It's over his head, and it's raging, and it's coming fast. It's coming furious. What do you do in that situation? Do you stay on the riverbank and say, Michael, I hope you make it? Send me a letter. Send me a text. Send me an email. But I'm going to stay right here because that looks too tough for me. But why did Joshua make the decision that I'm going to get in this water that's raging at flood level over his head and move it fast? Why, oh why did he make the decision to still get in the water? Joshua had gotten into the habit of believing God in face of incredible odds. Joshua got used to believing God in the face of incredible odds. So can y'all say something for me? Just indulge me. Can you just say this? I need to believe God in the face of incredible odds, seen and unseen. Oh, I like that. I like this. Because what we see is that we begin to live life in a habitual nature. Can we say habitual? And most people want to just pawn it off. Habitual meaning I'm addicted to something. I don't have a habit. I don't have an addiction. That's for somebody else. But we all have habits that become habitual. Addictions that make us become addicts. And it becomes a habitual way that we live. And either we believe, and we tend to believe, or we doubt, and we always doubt. There's two kinds of people there. Believe and not believe. We doubt or we don't doubt. We have faith or we don't have faith. But faith says, try it out. Doubt says, do without. Faith said, keep it up. Doubt says, give up. Faith says, step out. Doubt says, step back. Y'all know what I'm saying? Can y'all feel that? And this is what we do. Try it out, you'll die. Keep it up, give it up. Step out, step back. See, it's still early in 2024. It's just the first week of February, Reverend Wilmer. Brett, the things that we want to manifest are still in our mind, the forefront of our mind, Leah. And so we know what we want because it's been less than 40 days since we said, oh, I want this. We wrote it on the stone. We wrote it in our mastermind journals. It's in our heart. And now the question is, will we move forward? Or do we stand down? Do we stand on that riverbank and say, good enough? Anybody here in that moment saying good enough? Raise your hand if it's good enough. I'm staying pat with this hand. Raise your hand if you've done enough. Raise your hand if you've done enough living. Raise your hand if you've done enough loving. Not a hand raised. Debbie, not a hand raised. Boss, not a hand raised. Brett, not a hand raised. And so can I finish this message with intentionality that you intend to do something greater than ever before, using greater faith, greater strength, and greater courage? Can I move forward with the message? Do I have your total commitment? All right, let's finish up strong, Brett, because we got a couple more minutes to go. Oh, I'm not going to give up, but my time is elapsing. I want you to understand that it's possible to stand on the edge of life, stand on the edge of your potential, stand on the edge of your promise, stand on the edge of possibility, and never cross over to your potential, your promise, your possibility. We understand that. It's possible to have all those things and the provision by which to go forward, and you never get off the edge. See, the edge is that place where you have to make a decision. The edge is right there, and you're standing on the edge. The water's raging. It's higher than your head, but you still have to make a decision. And this is where faith kicks in. but it's also where courage begins to lean in on you and starts to whisper to you. And so this is what I want to say. Faith and courage versus fear and doubt. Can we say that? Faith and courage or fear and doubt? The choice is yours. Now, see, my mother used to say, you have to position yourself with good posture. If you want to be taken serious, if you want to move through life. Anybody's mother ever told them to straighten up and walk with good posture? And then we had to do this thing in elementary school where we had to practice posture, and so you had to learn how to balance it all. And what it did, it made you conscious of how you were walking and where you were walking. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go too far the wrong way and move too fast, everything just falls apart. And so I ask you, are you balancing it all? Are you conscious of the walk? Are you becoming super conscious of what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking, and balancing it all? That's what we have to do. Think about it. It's the same posture. The posture is, will I be driven by fear, or will I take a stand on faith and courage? The choice is yours. Walk in the posture of faith, strength, and courage. That decision is not a hard one to make. But when you're standing on the edge, you're making that decision. Will my normal remain normal, or will I step into a new normal? That's the choice. Today, tomorrow, forever. Will I stay here in my normal, or will I step out into a new normal? Brene Brown said something that just resonated with me. She said she feels like we live in a scarcity culture. I'm like, what is she talking about? A scarcity culture. What she is saying is that most of us think, believe, and act like we're never enough. Never good enough, never look good enough, never have enough, never wealthy enough, never healthy enough, never smart enough, never safe enough, never certain enough to make a move, to step out on faith, strength, and courage. And I don't know if that's you today, but it certainly has been me for a better part of my life. But then courage just kind of like kicks in, and I remember Psalms 31:24, and it just says to me, be strong. Let your heart take courage. Listen to how that resonates. Be strong. Take heart. Courage. It takes courage to be strong. Demonstrated great faith requires us to be strong and have courage. I think I'm going to do a part 2 of this, Brett. Can you use another dose of this? Because I know if we work on your courage and match it with your faith, you can do great things. Can we all stand and do an affirmation for courage? These affirmations are things that I just carry with me. Everywhere I go, I'm always seeing stuff, and usually I'm revising it because it's not powerful enough for me. Because I want to do greater and greater things. I don't play with that. I don't temper that. I don't play shy about it, be bashful about it. I want to be more, have more, and do more. Are you like me? Certainly you are. But we got to get to that point where we see that river, that Jordan River, and say, even though these things look out there over my head, the water is raging, I'm still moving forward in total faith. And we're going to cross over to better. I'm going to read this and just follow me. Repeat after me. I embrace the infinite source of courage within me. I step boldly into the unknown and trusting in the guiding presence of the universe. With every breath, I release fear and doubt, allowing my inborn strength to rise and propel me forward. I am divinely supported, and my courage knows no bounds. I am a co-creator of my reality, fearlessly manifesting my dreams and transforming challenges into opportunities for growth. I am courageous. I am resilient. I am unstoppable. And I'm on my path of personal and spiritual expansion. So I am, and so it is. Why don't you look at the person next to you and say, you better know. You may be seated. Renaissance Unity, I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you for having me this morning and blessing me with the opportunity to speak with you.